Alright, Black Goose TV family, what's good? Late night post. I already know it's the end of the weekend, unfortunately. Getting back to the grind tomorrow. But I'm going to talk some boxing with y'all, man. This video right here, the subject matter at the very least, is something I wanted to touch on for a while. But I just been, what I'm saying, I don't really force anything. I don't like forcing nothing. I like to let things come organically, naturally. If I see something in the news that I want to talk about it, I'll talk about it. If I feel like it's something where when I do talk about it, it can not only keep your interest, but I'm also giving a different perspective or insight on whatever the subject matter may be. Because at the end of the day, I don't like forcing nothing, because that's when I think you end up getting certain videos where, I'm not really adding anything to the table. I'm mostly just reporting what I'm reading. You know what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, what's good with it, Black Goose TV family? I hope y'all enjoyed y'all weekend. You already know, if y'all trying to figure out which sources I'm going to be getting my information from, I put it in the YouTube feed. I put it on the Facebook page, facebook.com/blackgoose. So check that out if y'all ever want to actually read the article in depth, whatever I may be talking about. So this has to do with Terence Crawford, right? Terence Crawford, in my opinion, the best welterweight. No matter how you want to stack it up, you can put the Zones fighters there, you can put Matchrooms fighters there, you can put PBC's fighters there, you can put Golden Boy Promotions fighters there. I do think Terence Crawford is at the top of the list when it comes to the 147 division. That's just my opinion, my perspective. If y'all don't agree with me, go ahead and put y'all comment below. Tell me why y'all don't agree with me. At the end of the day, though, that's not what this video is about. This video is actually, we're talking about a report that was recently put out there. Is by BoxingNews24.com. If y'all don't follow me, I get most of my sources and most of my news from BoxingNews24.com. I do go to other websites, but I love this one a lot because for the most part they're usually very accurate. But so first and foremost, you guys know the Spence Porter fight is coming soon. A lot of people think Errol Spence is going to blow Sean Porter basically out of the water. I'm pretty sure if y'all look at the betting lines, Errol Spence is probably a pretty big favorite over Porter, obviously because Errol Spence is known to be the next big thing when it comes to the welterweight division. Well, Terence Crawford himself says he feels the Spence Porter fight is actually a 50-50 fight. Me personally, I actually agree with him. For most people who probably either hear those reports or read that particular report, they're probably going to say, wow, like what? Smith is going to give Sean Porter work. But for me, the reason why I agree with him, I'm not going to go in depth in why he said this particular statement. If y'all want to check it out, once again, check out the YouTube feed or check out the Facebook page, facebook.com/blackgoose. Y'all can read the article in depth. But at the end of the day, the reason why I agree with this particular statement is because if y'all watch the Errol Spence-Mikey Garcia fight, there was a lot of big fans of Errol Spence who were telling me, I'm just talking about people I know, face-to-face, things like that, or personally, I should actually say, who are big boxing fans saying Errol Spence is the GOAT. Errol Spence is going to wash Mikey. Me personally, I thought Mikey was actually, I thought he was going to win. If not win, I thought it was going to be a very competitive fight because of how fundamentally sound Mikey is. Obviously, it didn't go that way. Errol Spence literally ran away with that fight. But one of the big things that stuck out to me when it came to that fight was the fact that Errol wasn't able to hurt Mikey Garcia. And Errol is known for being a big body puncher, a guy who can get their opponent out pretty quickly, or if not quickly, over time because of the power that he packs. And not being able to get Mikey Garcia out there, even though he dominated him and literally kind of shut Mikey Garcia out, at no point in that fight did I see Mikey Garcia actually be hurt, I guess you could say, in that fight. I didn't see him hurt. I didn't see him in trouble. He was taking the shots well, and that's not taking away anything from Errol Spence, but at the end of the day, you guys have to realize Mikey Garcia went up in weight for this. You know what I'm saying? He's not a natural welterweight. So because of that, that's what really... I was already a big Terence Crawford fan before that. I already thought Terence Crawford was the best welterweight, but after that, I did believe. I was like, I got to give it to Terence Crawford, because if you're not able to... I'm not saying you have to get Mikey out of there, but if you... The way he dominated that fight, and in my opinion, none of the shots that landed made Mikey Garcia, or in my eye, when coming from the eye test, it didn't seem like it really troubled Mikey Garcia, or made it seem like he was in any type of I guess you could say, any type of bad circumstance where he may end up having to try and figure out a way to stay alive, or maybe he has to hold, or maybe he has to run, so he can survive maybe the later rounds or things like that. I didn't see that. I saw Michael Garcia coming forward for the most part for the whole fight, and even though he was getting hit with big shots, it didn't necessarily seem to phase Mikey. So because of that, I understand why Terence Crawford is saying he feels like the Sean Porter Errol Spence fight is going to be 50-50, because the thing about that is Errol showed he's a great boxer. Errol also has great power, but the thing about Sean Porter is he's a very awkward fighter. The way he fights, it throws off a lot of fundamentally sound fighters, because he doesn't do things that are easy to prepare for. You have to find a certain style, a certain type of guy who can mimic those movements, because he's so unorthodox. Now the thing is, a lot of people can look at the Ugas fight and say, well, Ugas arguably won that fight from outboxing Porter. Well, I also want to say this too. In that particular fight, I personally think, even though Ugas is about, you know what I'm saying, he's an amazing boxer. He's probably going to get another shot at the title soon, the way he's been looking. But for some reason, for me personally, I feel like Porter was kind of like overlooking that fight. It doesn't mean he didn't train hard for it, but in my opinion, I think he was a little bit surprised by what Ugas came at him with. And at the same time, you know what I'm saying, if I'm not wrong, that was Porter's first defense with the title, if not his first, his second defense. So it happens. Obviously, everyone knew the Errol Spence fight was something that he wanted for a while. So, you know what I'm saying, at the end of the day, that's what's in his mind. So I do believe when it comes to fighters like a Sean Porter or even Errol Spence, depending on who the opponent is, they're going to rise to the occasion. So that's why I do agree with him saying it's a 50-50 fight. But that's my opinion. That's my perspective. And I'm always going to let y'all know, there's going to, you know, y'all know what I do. You know what I'm saying? I report certain boxing news that I feel like the boxing world should know about. But there's also certain videos, and when I report those news, I'll give my perspective or opinion on it. I'll always let y'all know when I'm doing that, so you guys can respond accordingly, or you guys can listen to it with that in mind. And this is obviously my perspective and opinion on this particular report. Real quick, I want to add in there, Tim Bradley says Errol Spence is ducking Terence Crawford. Now, obviously, there's nothing that is reported, or there's no type of information that could support these type of claims. Tim Bradley is obviously he's Terence Crawford's boy. He's one of the dudes who brought Terence Crawford into the game and kind of got him out there. So he's always going to ride with Terence Crawford. But what do you guys think about that statement? Tim Bradley saying Errol Spence is ducking Terence Crawford. I had a post on the YouTube feed not too long ago saying how Terence Crawford, maybe 2 weeks ago, he was calling out everybody in the welterweight division. He's been doing it for a while, but no one responds. And the narrative for a while has been that Bob Arum doesn't want to work with people. What I want to talk about real quick is the fact that Bob Arum has gotten a bad rap because of the beef between him and Floyd Mayweather. So this is my opinion. I feel like because of what happened between him and Floyd, and him and Oscar De La Hoya, everyone believes Bob Arum is the guy that's keeping certain fights from happening. But I actually don't believe that anymore. If you've been following him lately, Bob Arum has actually been open to working with other people. If you guys don't believe me, just check out what him and Eddie Hearn's been doing as of late. So I actually don't believe that statement anymore. I actually believe at this point in time, PBC is going through a reconstruction mode. Al Heyman is obviously over it. But at the same time, there's a lot of reports saying Zuffa Inc. is going to end up buying it. If y'all don't know who Zuffa is, they're associated with UFC, Dana White, Ari Emanuel, those people. So there's a possibility that they may end up buying PBC, and I think what Al Heyman is doing is just making sure the stable is right. He's getting it correct. He's getting everything in order. If that does end up happening, he wants to be at the top of the top. But at the same time, that's all my opinion. That's just speculation. But I do believe Bob Arum is more than willing to make any fight possible in the welterweight division with Terence Crawford. But everybody and their mama knows that Terence Crawford is a bad boy. So more of a risk than a reward. At this point in time, when it comes to the PBC stable, why take that risk when you have all these other 147s in your division signed with you that are big names and possibly bigger names than a Terence Crawford. He may have the skill, but I have guys in this division that has the name value that's going to make money. And at the end of the day, boxing is a business. It's about the money. So the question I want to pose you guys, if you were able to get through the length of this video, because I was talking in depth about certain things, but the question I want to pose you guys is, first and foremost, do you think Errol Spence for Sean Porter is a 50-50 fight? Who are you guys favoring? Second thing I'm going to pose to you guys, do you think Errol Spence is ducking Terence Crawford? Obviously, it's never the fighters ducking the other fighter. It always has to do with promotions or the team that they're working with. So what do you think the problem is when it comes to Terence Crawford getting these big name fights? Do you think it's who he's working with, Bob Arum and Top Rank? Or do you think it's PBC and Al Heyman and Errol Spence's team who doesn't want to make this fight happen simply because Al Heyman and Bob Arum are always going to have this beef? Or do you think the fighters are ducking each other? Let me know below. Comment below. You already know what it is. Black Goose TV, Mr. Positivity. Everybody stay positive. Keep showing love. You already know what it is.